Good morning, viewers. In today's episode, I'll tell you about some very interesting, rather peculiar looking, incredibly common spiders found in homes and, interestingly, relatively venomous ones. And it just so happened that last Sunday I got my hands on such a spider. I mean, this isn't an empty film canister. You might even be able to see it. See, I wasn't lying. There's a spider inside. By the way, this little guy is fully grown and the star of today's video. But before we get to the spider, look what's happening here. There's some eating going on, and this adult female of a large, very nervous spider is munching on a locust. And I really wanted to record her, how she curled up all scared. I really wanted to film her chewing with her chelicerae, but unfortunately it didn't work out because she got angry and couldn't eat. Not at all. You try hard to nicely record how a spider eats, but things happen. It will resist and freak out. It's been standing there for half an hour without moving. And here is a molt. And this molt is very interesting because, look, it's completely blue. And what's interesting is that it doesn't belong to this spider because it's too big. This molt belongs to a very, very rare species that we can find in breeding collections. I wonder if any of you can guess what it is. All right, but let's move on to this little one here, my friends. Today's video features this tiny, fascinating spider as the main character. It belongs to a family of spiders that includes species with quite peculiar appearances, and some of them are real aliens. And I'll tell you about them in a moment. What this is, ladies and gentlemen. Bokohut is actually its real name in Polish. That's its common Polish name. And it probably comes from the fact that this spider moves a bit sideways. So it walks sideways. So let's call it Bokohut. What could possibly go wrong? Bokohut is the genus Xysticus, a generic name for about a dozen species found in Poland. We have about a dozen bokohuts in Poland, which can be light brown, dark brown, black, and more. Generally, in terms of color, bokohuts don't particularly impress me, but when it comes to coloration, bokohuts have some quite interesting cousins. And among others, a cousin of such bokohuts belongs to exactly the same family, that is, the Thomisidae family, also known as the crab spider family. I don't know why this family is called the crab spider family, so don't ask me. A close relative is the goldenrod crab spider, which lives in Poland, is found in meadows, and hunts on flowers. I'd like to make a video about it this year and hope to do so in the summer. But coming back to crab spiders, these spiders are often called crab-like or crab spiders, and even though they have as much in common with crabs as the fact that both taxa are arthropods, yes, spiders and crabs are both arthropods. Well, that's where the similarities end, but actually, if you take a close look at such a spider, first of all, it looks a bit like an alien, partly because of the way its eyes are arranged on its cephalothorax. That's because its first two pairs of walking legs are, huge, and they give the impression that it's about to grab us with them. Spiders do look a bit like crabs, mainly due to their leg shape and size. The front two pairs are large, and the back two are smaller. For example, wapaningdida, watanpap, apaute. When a spider is sitting on our ceiling, it gives the impression that it's wider than it is long. Maybe that's it. That's one of the more characteristic features of these spiders, and practically all species from the Pisauridae family have it. There's another very characteristic feature of these spiders that makes them great at observing, and that feature is their hunting style, because these spiders actively hunt. They're not web-building spiders. Like, for example, orb weavers or wasp spiders. If something flies into a wasp spider's web, the spider runs across the web, wraps it up, bites it, and then the prey gets eaten. With these spiders, it doesn't work like that. Yes, they do produce silk, but the silk acts more as a safety line. In case the spider, for example, falls from some surface, then that safety thread will always save it. But these spiders don't make webs. They just wander around, wander, or sometimes they lie in wait and suddenly attack their prey. That's exactly what, among others, crab spiders do. That's what this one does too. Here's a fun fact that might surprise some of you, and honestly, it surprised me a bit. Sorry, I'm distracted because the bush cricket escaped and is chirping. Spiders in this family are quite venomous. What's going on? The thing is, compared to other spiders, like orb weavers, jumping spiders, funnel web spiders, or even wolf spiders, there are rumors that the venom of these spiders, for example, is much stronger in these crab spiders. This venom isn't strong enough. These spiders generally lack venom that can harm humans. Their tiny chelicerae likely can't pierce human skin. Yes, actually, as it turns out, these spiders simply need strong venom, and that's because of what I just told you, their hunting style. Just imagine a spider is lying in wait and a fly comes by and the spider attacks the fly, biting into it. And what would happen if it had weak venom? Before the venom could work, the fly would just fly away with it. So the venom has to work almost instantly to paralyze the fly and in the end, kill it. Yes, spiders in this family have fairly strong venom. I don't think it's the same as Keracanthium spiders, but honestly, I'm not sure. That's my honest answer. I have no idea, since I've never seen, read, or found any studies on this topic. So, well, this is a bit of speculation, but still, based on how quickly the victims react to the venom. I'll show you this soon, or maybe I already did. It depends on editing. The venom is strong compared to other spiders, but don't worry, they won't bite humans. Nothing will happen to us, we won't die, our leg won't fall off, so no worries at all. Someone might say, okay, cool, a spider, a crab, some venom, it hunts, that's pretty cool, but just look at this. This is a tiny, completely unremarkable spider with coloring like any other spider, just grayish brown. Honestly, nothing interesting really, it's boring. And that's somewhat true. However, I'm also making this video for another reason. Very, very much so, and for the third time. Very often, you send me pictures of spiders, usually with a classic message like, "Hi Wojtek, I found this spider. Can you please help me identify it or tell me what it is?" I roughly counted, based on several dozen messages, that in about 40 cases, these are the spiders you send me. Why? Because these spiders are somewhat synanthropic, they also live in cities, villages, and near people, often, in fact, repeatedly. Very often, it happens that we find such spiders in our homes, in our apartments. And I have also found these spiders more than once. So, either crab spiders or some of their cousins with that characteristic spread out appearance, which makes them look a bit like a small crab. Yes, I found these spiders, and because of all your messages like, "Oh sir, what is this spider? Help, will it kill me?" Spoiler, no it won't. All these messages made me think this spider was the perfect video subject, and it just goes to show how life creates its own stories. I hadn't planned to make a video about this spider until 2 days ago and didn't want to record anything about it. At the last Zoo Expo, a young guy who loved spiders approached me and said, "I caught a spider for you," handing me a film canister with the spider inside. Thanks for the spider. Now there's a new video and subject to observe. Here's an interesting fact. There's a video circulating on the internet that shows a certain spider. Basically, a certain type of spider from this family, the Thomisidae family. What's it called? Oh, right. And these are spiders from the Epicadus genus. These spiders are so strange, it's almost unbelievable. See for yourselves. They're like aliens and actually live in South America, including Brazil. There are a few species, mostly spiders, that mimic flowers, lichens, or fungi. Anyway, these spiders are absolutely amazing. Maybe they're not huge, let's say they're about this size, but unfortunately they're not available on the market. I've never seen an offer for these spiders. And that's a shame because it's just a walking, or rather lurking little marvel. As you can see, the little spider is interesting, but I may have trouble recording this video. Let's try coaxing him out. Did you see that? He just used the safety thread, and so to avoid falling, he landed on my hand using the thread. Let's do it this way. The little spider, like I said, is a bit boring, but on the other hand, interesting, because if we get closer and look at him up close, he looks quite unusual. But these spiders have a certain problem, and the problem when filming this video is its size. Listen, look, this is an adult specimen, and it's not even as big as my fingernail. Oh, and once again, you can see, now it's hanging on a thread. There, and it landed. And that's where this came in handy. I don't want this to be some kind of review or advertisement or anything. However, I recently bought a lens, and it's relatively cheap for what it can do. It's the Laowa 50mm lens. The lens. It allowed me to record a video about this spider to show what it actually looks like, and it let me capture the shots you just saw. Great for hunting and close-ups. It's an amazing tool. I highly recommend it for macro photography. That's all. In short, I wish this video had a moral, but since none comes to mind, maybe that's the moral. Even if the spider is literally 5mm, and I mean literally because I'm not even sure this spider is 5mm, if we enlarge it properly and look at it in a slightly different light than usual, it turns out to be a little marvel of nature, and that's the thought I leave you with. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know if you like the spiders too, and that's it. See you in the next video. Bye! Phew, alright, we did it.